Okay, excuse the mess. We got a lot going on in the shop. So the easiest way to take these fan clutches apart to grab an impact, try to do it by hand. The thing's going to be spinning on you. Just like that. Take it apart. Don't lose your bolts. Alright, carefully take the fan out. Don't break that. We're going to put that in the parts file for now. And then we're going to examine this thing to see if we can glean anything of why this truck is eating fan clutches. So I don't know if the camera can pick it up, but we actually have oil residue in the spring, and then we have it shooting off. I mean, it feels tight, but that doesn't mean anything. This valve has to open to make this lock up. And there's actually a little bit of build up right on the inside, so she's lost a little bit of fluid. Normally when these are bad, you'll see a whole mess of oil here. I mean, rarely do you see them blow in front, but they do. But you'll see this will be caked with dust and oil. But most of the time it's this back seal that blows. But yeah, generally there's a little valve, doesn't travel very far. As soon as it gets to about 160 degree, 170 degree of air temp, that's air that has to come across here at 170 degrees. And then when you get a radiator that's clogged, you might have, 200 degree of water here, you might have like 120 degree air here, and you're not getting the true reading of what the radiator's saying. This runs independent of what your gauge says, okay? Now on the Fords, they do something a little bit different. They keep the viscous clutch, but they actually have a pneumatic magnet here that when the computer commands will lock the valve up, open it, and then this will run at full speed. Well, this isn't. This is your old school tried and true design. But like I said, this truck's had, I don't know, I'd say one of six, throwing 6 at them. And I had another truck that had a similar issue where the fan clutch wouldn't even come on until the engine was like 212 degrees. And come to find out with that one, of course it wasn't leaking, but the radiator was clogged up. As soon as I put a new radiator in, lo and behold, turn the AC on, fan clutch kicks right up. So it's one of those things. If you're chasing overheating and you've done a water pump, you've done a thermostat, obviously you don't have a blown head gasket, fan clutch is working kinda, there's a good bet that radiator's clogged. I should probably open this one up just to prove it to you guys it's clogged. I know it's clogged just by symptoms from having 225 degrees not towing on a 90 degree day. It's just way too hot for these. Alright, we'll get the new one in and we'll put it back together.
I don't really think it matters.
Yeah, it does.
No.
Doesn't matter there. You can flip that fan backwards.
Oh yeah, no, you could put it on like this.
I'm sure somebody has. No, it does not go that way.
Front.
Front. To back of fan clutch.
I like the way blue Loctite smells.
Alright, put them in all loosely.
Doesn't want to go in one hole.
Yep, just move it around. That's what I did on the Toyota. I had one that was stubborn. I just moved it to another hole. Good to go.
So it wasn't able to... What the...
You do want to check that with a wrench, though.
You're no fun.
Yeah, I know. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. Always double check.
I think we're good, man.
Yeah, I think you're good.
Alright.
Alright, no need to remove the bottom fan, shroud, or the top. Just put it in through the bottom.
Well, I mean, at least they went for an OE original part.
Yeah, you probably spent twice as much and just getting a fixed aftermarket one. Some people's children. Alright, just about easy as you took it off.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta be careful you don't cross thread that nut though.
Yeah.
It's a little heavy.
Yeah.
This is the part I always find a little tricky. Trying to get it just right, then it should just spin right on.
Let's see, it's got to go in reverse, so it's got to go this way.
You took it off through the drivers, you got to take it back to the passengers. The idea is the engine's torque should tighten that bolt. Now, there's some guys that put them on loose and let the torque, tighten it up, but me, I always recommend, tighten it up.
Alright, I'm putting this.
Yeah, put your specialty tool back in.
Actually bigger.
Yep, the aftermarket nut's bigger.
Okay, so that's tight. What the? Why is it?
Alright, fan clutch test time. Okay, definitely heard that fan clutch kick off. Now, before we bled out, we should actually see this level rise during warm-up. So let it run for about 5 minutes and then I'll do a side-by-side. You should see it start pushing fluid out as it gets hot and expands in the radiator. You should feel heat right away in the core, and we do. Unlike before where it took a minute, we've actually got instant heat. So that's another way you can tell. There's like 5 things that the thing has to pass before I'll send it out of my shop. 1, heater core should be hot. 2, that upper hose should be rock hard. 3, you should see a fluid level change in the reserve tank, because if they're not fully bled, it won't be able to pick up fluid or drop it into the reserve tank. 4, it doesn't warm up very fast. Okay. Now remember, we've had this engine run already, so it shouldn't take long for it to get up to temp. But yeah, heater has to be hot. Heater, first thing, don't drive it if the heater isn't hot. Don't do it. Now this should feel a little squishy during warm-up. So I can already start to feel back pressure in here. Die Hard, the original battery that this thing came with. Now heater's nice and hot. Whenever you can see how many hours this thing actually has on the engine so far. Let's see. Vehicle info, select, oil temp, oil pressure, trans temp, engine hours. 6,527. Doesn't give me idle hours. The oil pressure, that seems to be the predominant problem why it's wiping out lifters, is once you get below 27 psi, as the engine gets hot, you can start robbing that upper end oil pressure. Well, hence why you don't let these things sit. When the oil's bad in this, you'll actually see when it's hot, it'll get below 47. And this has that computer system. It can tell when the oil's, you know, starting to degrade or you need to change it. So yeah, it looks like he's getting close to an oil change. It's usually about 56. Two messages. Oil change due, yep. Called that one. And TPMS, so he's lost both passenger side ones. Alright, let's go check and see if that coolant level's gone up. Yep, going up. Good. Now the air here is still coming out cold, so obviously this hose isn't hot yet. They always said something about Dodge V8s are cold-blooded. Well, that's what they mean. Alright, we'll let this thing warm up, and then the only thing left to do is put the grill on. I'll do that off camera. There ain't much to it. 4 bolts and it pops underneath. Other than that, it's ready to go back to work. Alright folks, job is done. So in this video we've covered how to replace the water pump, hoses, radiator, fan clutch. I mean, we pretty much rebuilt the cooling system. First time we were in it was kind of a, you know, half-butted repair, but at that time it's all it needed. But now that we've gone through and redone everything, he should be good for at least 50,000 miles. This is 5-year, 50,000 mile coolant, so I would say with the stickiness that we're seeing in the coolant, I'd probably change it once a year, just so we don't clog this radiator up. But other than that, we are done. And with the fan clutch on, she's just doing a dance between 192 and 186. And that's even with a 203 degree thermostat. So what I think's happening is that once the coolant temperature reaches 197, it opens, and by the time it gets flushed with pretty much ambient air temperature coolant, you're just going to flood the engine with cold coolant. And the only way to bat that is to put cardboard in front of the radiator. But if you don't live in a cold climate, you won't have this issue, but we do. You know, and it's not uncommon for us to have to put cardboard in our radiators to get engines to stay, you know, reasonably happy warm. We'll just call it that. In the summertime, I ought to have this done and bled in a couple hours. You know, this is day 2 because it's just cold outside. Alright folks, if you like the content, be sure to subscribe. If you have any questions or you just want to leave a comment, you know, please do so. I answer all my questions. Sometimes it can take me 48 hours or so because not always at home in the shop. I do work a full-time job outside of YouTube. If you like the content, subscribe. We'll see you later. We'll see you next time. God bless. Thanks for watching.